Hello internet friends, my name is Julia and today I cannot think of a more appropriate way to kick off this sort of commentary brand of video I've been wanting to make. Now, truth be told, a ton of college YouTubers are graduating this year. One that I've watched for many years is Danielle Carolyn. She is graduating, I think this week or next week, which is crazy because so am I, guys. I've been slowly phasing myself out of the comfort of making college YouTube videos. Another notorious YouTuber who recently rejoined the platform is Olivia Jade, who you may know from the 50 bazillion news outlets that talked about her extraordinary USC admission. And needless to say, you have to have a pretty interesting college application to make it onto the rowing team and get a Netflix documentary all to yourself. But there is a very important issue that I think we need to talk about, and a lot of problems with college YouTubers and how they're presented on the YouTube platform. Now, if you clicked on this video and you're still at this point and you're thinking, maybe this video isn't for me because I'm not a college YouTuber, I encourage you to hold your horses, because I think a lot of the problems around being a college YouTuber are based in the fact that there are problems with how college is presented to most students out there. I think that it is a very dishonest representation of what college actually looks like for 90% of the people that go, and that's what we're going to talk about today. To kick it off, I wanted to talk about the identity crisis. I myself, as a college YouTuber, I went to UT Austin, never felt like I fit the college YouTuber mold. Now, I looked up to a lot of creators like Brooke Michio, Morgan Yates, none others are coming to mind right now. Oh, Janine Amapola. These kind of people that were making college content were the people I looked up to throughout my middle school and my high school years. And here's the thing, when I would look at their videos, I failed to realize one very important thing. These were highlight reels of other people's lives, especially at the time that I was watching and consuming a lot of this content, like 2015 to 2017. That whole authenticity aspect wasn't really part of YouTube's system. It wasn't really a part of how YouTube ran things, and creators were rewarded by the algorithm for creating content that was what people wanted to see, the highlight reel of college. I would look up to these people thinking, oh my gosh, the day I step foot on campus, my first semester is gonna be a blast. Like, nothing is gonna go wrong. And obviously I wasn't stupid. Like, I knew things could go wrong. I knew that there were things that I was afraid would happen when I got to college, but there was a lot that I didn't prepare for, which was quite plainly the fact that to be that vlogger or that representative on campus that influencers were, was quite literally unattainable, especially as someone who had to pay for a lot of my own things in college. I was already kind of at a point with YouTube that I could at least cover for textbooks, but that was the first step of, I think, where college YouTubers have historically gone wrong. Now, this isn't anything on them, this was their experience, this is why people were watching YouTube at the time. Since then, I think that the need for these authentic, very realistic YouTubers has become apparent, because we're just not seeing each other in the same way that we used to. And this kind of brings me to my next point of, you know, not seeing people in their normal college environment, in the fact that I lived in an off-campus dorm. A lot of these influencers did have that dorm experience, or were at least living in places that were nicer. I think Danielle Carolyn, if I remember correctly, had an apartment and a dorm her freshman year, which I think is a very unattainable goal for most people. I don't think most people, myself included, I had all of my tuition covered by scholarships and grants my freshman year. I still could not wrap my head around paying for a dorm and a separate apartment all by myself. I mean, that's just crazy. So another problem too, I think, with these college YouTubers is that they're presenting one piece of this very big college picture. Now, another thing that I think a lot of small college creators have that's different from the very big ones is they're usually not in Greek life. I do have small YouTuber friends that are in Greek life, and it's not one of the determining factors, but if you do have that experience and that sort of forced community, not that it's forced, but you do have a fallback group to be a part of, that's gonna wildly affect your college experience as well. The off-campus dorm that I lived in my freshman year, it was more common for people to ask which sorority you were in before they asked your first name. I distinctly remember this one Thursday evening when I got home from class and a group of girls sat down at my table and started talking to me about rush and recruitment, and I had to be in this really awkward situation where I just said, I'm not actually in Greek life, but thanks for talking to me. I don't really know what the objective was, but long story short, I never saw those girls again, never spoke to them again. It just happened and it went. Now these big YouTubers that also come from typically affluent places where they may have had an older sibling go to college already or a parent go to college already are in a very different situation in that they often come along with friend groups. I think a lot of college YouTubers don't have that opportunity in their vlogs to show what the actual process of making friends in college looks like, and because of this, it can come off a little bit unrelatable. It's unrelatable. I don't think it's easy to show how your friendship blossoms with someone through a 10 to 30 minute YouTube video. I don't think that's the best format to present that in, and you definitely don't have a responsibility to, but once you're at the point where you're making content for sometimes, you know, 30 to 40,000 people a video, there comes a time where you need to be transparent and talk about the process of making friends, because what I see a lot is these college creators, they leave college, they graduate, they do some post-grad content, and there in that video is when they start talking about how difficult it was for them to make friends. It's just the suspension of disbelief where it's like, well, why didn't it seem that way in your videos? And that a lot of content creators talk about the social and the dating atmosphere at college because they usually come in single or by themselves. All right, so moving on to sort of part 2 of this video, I wanted to talk about mental health. I think that mental health is portrayed in a very interesting way in the college YouTuber space, in that it's seen as more of an accessory or something that you are inevitably going to deal with in college. And while that is very true, I think it's led to multiple aspects of mental health becoming very normalized to a point where people feel like, well, my favorite YouTuber here going through stress and anxiety, so that means if I go through stress and anxiety, I don't need to get help for it, or I would be weak to ask for help to cope with it. And I was guilty of this. I am very grateful in a sense that I didn't quit college because it would not have been the right path for me. But I judge myself a lot for not being like the other people around me too, in a social sense. And this is not to be one of those not like other girls, but more so that I was on a big campus and I didn't know a lot of people, and that made things complicated many, many times. My fall semester of my freshman year was devastating. I mean, truly, truly awful. I could not make it through most of the days, and there would have been such an opportunity in that genre of content, in a sense, for somebody to speak up and talk about these things. And I'm not saying that college YouTubers necessarily dismiss the idea of mental health altogether. I think that talking about and acknowledging its existence, but there's more that needs to be said, especially for people that really, really went through it in college, because I think it's so much more normal. The more I talk to people now in my post-grad life, the more I realize that I wasn't the only one dealing with a lot of this stuff. But at the same time, all the content that I was consuming was basically telling me that I had to enjoy every bit of college, and I needed to be having fun all the time, and I should be stressed about my classes but not too stressed, because then I'll come off as someone who is trying too hard. And it was just this constant power balance to fight between those two things, and it was just very tricky to mitigate. I think that these are very common emotions that are only perpetuated by typical behaviors, I think, of people that make YouTube college content. And now I'm noticing too, not to drive this video completely off of a cliff, but I am noticing a lot of these trends on Instagram and on TikTok, that there is a lot of over-romanticization of okay, I think that's the word I was going for. Over-romanticization of college as a whole. Part 3 of this video, I'm going to call the question barricade. This is definitely something that I think college YouTubers struggle with a lot, but it is a horribly difficult niche to transition out of. Yes, there are harder transitions, like if I had a cooking channel and one day I decided I'm passionate about knitting now, it might not be the most frictionless transition. I genuinely feel like a lot of YouTubers are left with very few options once they graduate, and it almost creates this stress. You can see the pressure in their content. You can see contained they feel by the college YouTuber space, because at that point there are 3 paths that college YouTubers typically take. The first of which is pursuing their content full-time. I'm not gonna say it wouldn't be an option in my case, but I have 1,800 subscribers. I am nowhere near being on my own 2 feet with this stuff, so I would have to be working 2, 3, maybe 4 part-time jobs to really leverage living at my current lifestyle in Austin, Texas. Number 2 is starting a small business or trying to transition your niche into more of a specific aspect of your life. I think that, for example, there are college YouTubers that are also partnered with some other interest or some subcategory that they really fit into. Maybe it's technology, maybe they do really good travel vlogs, and they can sort of take the content in that direction. Best Dressed, for example, was always a fashion blogger, but she was a college fashion blogger, and then she took the college out and was able to run with the fashion part. And option number 3 is move to New York. Half joking with this one, but I do notice that reasonably so, content that is based around living in New York typically performs very well. Take a look at someone like Victoria Paris, where yes, her personality, authenticity, and spontaneity are all things that absolutely are pivotal to her content, but part of what sent that content flying was the fact that she was telling her unique perspective on living in a city that is very much romanticized. And oddly enough, I think that there are a lot of parallels between that New York desirable vlogger lifestyle and the desirable college YouTuber lifestyle, in that they are both highly expensive, usually cannot be reasonably funded by the average Joe or Jill out there, but you lose an element of your content, which is relatability. And the reason for that is your lifestyle just isn't attainable. Convince them of that for sometimes a very long time, but the more that they see you and they see your lifestyle and they learn about your background and your history, the more they're gonna realize that you've had playing field advantages that just aren't relatable. Part 4 is the fact that college isn't always a positive experience. I think that most college creators make content because they like to document their lives and they like the campus that they go to. I don't know most college YouTubers that are like, oh my god, I hate the college that I go to, because obviously if you go to a beautiful campus or an expensive school or a school that is so popular that people are searching for it day by day, you are going to get picked up by the algorithm and labeled as a member of that school. But the problem is YouTube doesn't know when to turn that switch off. I would probably need a video with like 100,000 views that just absolutely breaks the barriers of my channel to even start pivoting in another direction comfortably. I think that college YouTubers work when you fit certain profiles. It's so funny because I'll hear certain college YouTubers talk about how they're such homebodies and they don't go out and they don't do XYZ, but then you go back to their college week in my life vlogs and they're like going out every weekend and socializing. And I think that if you're a student or content creator that doesn't feel like partying, or maybe you're just not completely in line with the beliefs and interests that are typically associated with your campus, you're gonna struggle in making content there because you're just not gonna be the representation that other people are looking for. Another thing too is that I feel like there's just not a lot of studying shown. Obviously it's very uncomfortable to talk about your grades online. I'll come out and say it. I've gotten C's and D's in classes. I failed a class in college, but still people kind of put this belief on me that they were like, well, you're a good student, so you must be totally fine and able to produce, you know, 3 videos a week. But in reality, there were semesters where I was barely floating above the water and I still felt this need to like present an unrealistic side of myself on camera, which just wasn't necessary. Now for part 5, I want to quickly wrap this up by talking about what the repercussions of being a college YouTuber or even being a member indirectly of the college YouTuber space can often mean. The biggest question that I hear other content creators ask themselves, and actually there's an incredible podcast episode from a creator named Nicole Raffi, I'm gonna link it down below, but it's this fear that people don't enjoy you outside of your college niche. I myself, even being a small content creator, had times where my brain got to such a toxic place that I would literally think, do I have a bad personality? Like, why are my other videos not doing as well as my college ones? But I think it's important to talk about because I wanted to provide some solutions and talk a little bit about what I myself am doing as a college YouTuber to break out of constructs, if you will. The first thing you gotta do is try different niches and genres. I think experimentation is so underrated, and I think what a lot of content creators will do is they just pivot one day, sprint down the track, you know, and while that can work, I don't think it works for most people, and it can be very disheartening when you go from your videos being top 1, top 2, top 3 in your YouTube analytics to every single upload falling into the 7, 8, 9. Oh, okay, I'm filming a video. Can I have like 5 minutes? However, I feel like if you're a content creator, hitting this crossroad of graduation is very uncomfortable. I would not be surprised if more college creators come out in the next couple of years and say that their post-grad decisions were directly influenced by the YouTube algorithm, because especially in this sort of era of authenticity that we're entering across every platform, people just want to be themselves. They want to be funny and uncut and completely transparently themselves. And that's not to say that they should go without boundaries, because I think that's another really problematic thing that I've noticed in the college YouTuber space. I think a lot of creators feel the pressure that they have to overshare about relationships, personal life. A lot of it stems from the fear that non-traditional content or fresh content or new content has as much potential to go very, very well as it does have potential to go very, very badly. With that all being said, if you are a college YouTuber and you're kind of hitting this crossroads where you just can't make college videos anymore, it's not that part of your life, you're moving on, I think you need to understand that your audience is gonna grow with you, and it's scary to embrace. I know this video has been way too long. If you are a not college YouTuber, let's say you just transitioned, feel free to comment down in the comment section below. I would love to respond to every single thing that you guys write. Drop this video a like, a subscribe, and I will see your beautiful faces in the next video. By the way, I love what you did with your hair today. Looks really cute. I like it. Bye, lovelies!